Once upon a time, in a faraway land, a young prince lived in a shining castle. Although he had everything his heart desired, the prince was spoiled, selfish, and unkind. But then one winter's night, an old beggar woman came to the castle and offered him a single rose in return for shelter from the bitter cold. Repulsed by her haggard appearance, the prince sneered at the gift and turned the old woman away. But she warned him not to be deceived by appearances, for beauty is found within. And when he dismissed her again, the old woman's ugliness melted away to reveal a beautiful enchantress. The prince tried to apologize, but it was too late, for she had seen that there was no love in his heart. And as punishment, she transformed him into a hideous beast and placed a powerful spell on the castle and all who lived there. Ashamed of his monstrous form, the beast concealed himself inside his castle with a magic mirror as his only window to the outside world. The rose she had offered was truly an enchanted rose, which would bloom until his 21st year. If he could learn to love another and earn her love in return, by the time the last petal fell, then the spell would be broken. If not, he would be doomed to remain a beast for all time. As the years passed, he fell into despair and lost all hope. For who could ever learn to love a beast? These words, which introduce the animated Disney film version of Beauty and the Beast, reveal a very human tendency, a tendency the Beast portrays, to make a shallow judgment about a person. It's actually pretty similar to what the Pharisees and scribes are doing to Jesus' disciples today. But instead of judging them by appearance, they're judging them because they're not following rules, not washing their hands the way they were supposed to wash their hands. And this, they said, made them unclean. And unclean, that meant unfit for interaction with others and with God. And like the handsome prince in the tale, there's no love in their hearts as they demand an answer from Jesus. Why are those disciples of yours eating with filthy, defiled hands? Why are they not following our traditions? And you know there's no love in their hearts because Jesus, he offers up, well, about the snarkiest retort he offers up in the scriptures. And it all boils down to this: you ignore the command of God to follow a tradition you made up. And hear this: it's not what comes into a person that defiles, it's what comes out. What comes out? What does that mean? Well, what comes out reveals what's in one's heart. The enchantress sees quite clearly through his actions that there is no love in the heart of the beast. So what comes out, it reveals if there's love in the heart or if there's no love in the heart. And the actions that emerge from a heart, a soul that does not love, that's what defiles. The religion of Jesus' time, you see, had made faith into a kind of a very private thing. Like your heart and your soul was this little room inside of you that you had to keep squeaky clean. That dust in the corner, well, that's when I brushed up against that unclean foreign person. Wash and pray, get clean again. That cobweb hanging from the ceiling, that's when I looked at that woman in the street. Wash and pray, get clean again. That dust on the table, that's when I made a mistake and ate some pork. You get it. Keep your soul squeaky clean for God to show God how good you are. Jesus tells his opponents that this is not living in God's way. Keeping yourself pure in this way was something you could do and still be as cold and unloving as the beast was to the enchantress. And acting like that, well, that's what defiles you. Makes you ugly, maybe even a bit of a beast. And by proclaiming how in vain all the Pharisees' attempts at maintaining purity were, and by proclaiming that acts coming out of an unloving heart are what defile, Jesus opens the door to one of his biggest teachings. Being holy, being immersed in God, it mostly means loving your neighbor. Because your neighbor, that's who God wants you to be about. I'd been invited to a lunch. It was a nice lunch. And there were all these leaders from the community there. And I met this guy. He's kind of a big guy, a bit older, which means he was probably my age now. This was well over 20 years ago. And he found out what I do. And I gotta be honest, there are times I don't really want to talk about what I do. People get a little weird sometimes when they realize, ooh, I'm talking to a pastor. Or, ew, I'm talking to a pastor? And this guy, he took the knowledge of what I do, that I was a pastor, and he ran in one of my least favorite ways with it. He began a long story about how religious he was. Now, usually when someone does this, I start nodding. And I nodded a lot. I nodded through his tales of finding Jesus, participating in Bible study and men's group, going on conferences, and of course, all that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. He just seemed so darn proud of it. Well, we all sat to eat, and then at the end of the lunch, the speaker for the day, who happened to be an officer from immigration, rose to talk, and in his talk, he touched on the fact that a group of illegal immigrants had been rather publicly discovered in our area, and now they were all sitting in a detention center, and no one was quite sure what was going to happen next, because these immigrants, they were escaping from communist China. And this man, this follower of Jesus, raised his hand and said, Why must we feed these people? And the immigration officer, obviously kind of shocked, stuttered the answer, well, we don't think it'd be right to let them starve. I gotta be honest, I'm still kind of ashamed that I let that comment go by. But I guess I was a little younger. I was a guest. I probably would have messed it up. I probably would have made everything worse, but still. The point is, the Pharisees didn't and don't have a corner on being confused about what God wants from us. And we all fail God. All of us. Not just my friend who bragged about his faith and then missed one of the central claims of the Old Testament and one of the central claims of the New Testament, that we are to care for the alien, immigrant, foreigner in our midst, and that we are always to care and feed the hungry. And we might and we do disagree on how all that should occur, and that's okay. It's okay to disagree. But the voice of God is clear that it should occur. The interior life of faith was and is crucial to Christianity. But its point is not to impress or satisfy God. Its point is that we will grow to love God more and love ourselves more. Its point is that we will grow with God so that we can live a life of loving action for others. Period. And remember this. Remember, even on those days, you're not feeling it. Maybe not feeling God. Maybe not feeling that comfort in your spirit. Maybe even wondering if all this religion stuff is even worth it. Remember, God is always right there. Right there with you. Waiting to be revealed in one action of loving kindness for a neighbor. One act of loving kindness can bring back that sense of God, that sense of beauty that is found within.